Welcome to Progressive Alternative with Victor Monjaras. I'm Victor Monjaras, and today I'm basically, it's been a while. Definitely haven't really done uploaded a video in a few weeks, more like 6 weeks, but anyway, who's counting? Yes, bet tonight was a good night to help out, or at least to make videos tonight. Been really busy with my father and really just helping out around the house, especially against this whole virus situation. And I'll probably have up in one of my other videos about definitely going all around the whole political situation and helping out and seeing what I do with my stimulus check. But for this one, it is about knowing what is happening in my state of California. And yes, this is about grading Governor Gavin Newsom. Yes, so of course, obviously, I'm a Democrat, so you should probably you're probably assuming I'm going to be praising so much about him. Well, I will, but I'm also going to criticize him on some things, definitely some meaningful things that will be quite important to improve on, and of course, why I'm wearing this shirt. But for now, this is a very serious situation that we basically have confronted here about the whole virus situation. And what is quite compelling is that basically in a state that is quite obviously increasing the diversity and so many structures around the whole state, where basically here in the North State, we're just all rural, very separate around, though we have here around Sacramento Bay Area, it's lots of populations down here in Los Angeles and everywhere down in the South, San Diego, more populations. Though in the Central Valley, it's a lot more separated around here. How has the governor been able to confront all of these issues, all of these circumstances, taking on the federal government? That's basically what I'm talking about. And what is important is that he has been doing a pretty well, compelling job. I won't argue with basically how long we come from this and actually ordering the shutdown quite early on. Even though it was a lot to annoyances to a lot of people and a lot of businesses that, basically sports teams that basically have done so. Though they have came to that conclusion even afterward. They knew kind of just every state's basically had to shut down during this whole crisis. And so far, 2 years into basically Newsom's tenure, he's basically finally facing a very serious issue here. Basically, taking on PG&E and the whole campfire situation that happened up there. He heard our calls. Basically, it had to take a lot more activisms to really get him to see that, yeah, don't let PG&E get off that easily. Was just basically, hey, look, we're filing bankruptcy. Oh, yeah, we can't really pay out people. No, we're not going to let you off the hook that easily. So, with this virus situation, it's been pretty compelling. He's been doing daily briefings, basically at noon. Sometimes I want to listen to This American Life, but I gotta listen to the governor because it's important to see which stores are opening or what facilities can we use, what protections are there for essential workers such as healthcare workers to get masks, to get those ventilators, to get everything that we need to take on this virus effectively and help out people out there. And it's been it's been pretty well, though I do kind of need to. I do always concerned about his response team, basically the medical healthcare response team, basically gonna a good like 40%, if I remember correctly, from that Sacramento Bee article about how they're from Kaiser Permanente, or those big insurance companies that also donated to his campaign. Again, he wasn't my first choice, unfortunately, but he was a popular lieutenant governor under Jerry Brown, so he got the benefit of the doubt. He at least understood the rural communities because his father lives up somewhere down in another part of our rural community down there close to El Dorado County, though he does kind of frequently come up here, or at least occasionally. No, Governor Newsom occasionally comes up here, around like the Roseville or the Auburn area. So it's just, uh, what are you going to do to much more pressure him? At least he's going down to the Central Valley a little bit more and looking at the whole situation. He's going to local businesses that he knows that they're suffering. And so far, he's been, when they did the whole shutdown, it's not a complete lockdown. It's basically a shutdown where people can still go outside. People can still do stuff. They just gotta respect the rules, respect the spacing, and wear a mask when it's proper. You don't want to get other people sick. This isn't a hoax. And of course, it's like, yeah, and of course, yeah, he knew the circumstances is, yeah, probably don't, with rural communities that barely get any cases, especially with people being so spread out. Although I do live in the part of a rural county that's increasingly more populations is growing a little bit more rapidly. And so, that's always a concern there. I can easily drive to to a grocery store, and a lot of people out there. Some of them not wearing masks, and we kind of know why they're not. Although, to be fair, yes, those masks are kind of not really hard to obtain, but they can be quite annoying, and they do kind of scratch your chin a lot, and it's kind of like, for me, as a person who wears glasses, it always fogs up my eyes whenever I'm talking. So, basically, um, he's quite he's good for the situation. He's good with everything that is necessary to provide to comfort the people that is living in anxiety, or basically having to give any confidence of the amount, and basically taking on Drumpf, because of course Drumpf always likes to criticize how, or at least actually just flat out display California as this heathen place that really doesn't allow any honoring the Second Amendment rights, or really disease-filled written, and obviously somewhere to the lines of where my father likes to agree with him that it is just straight up a garbage place, and they charge us way too much on taxes. And you know what? I'm okay with the taxes. It's funding programs that we need. Roads, fixing up the, helping out of schools and hospitals, because you got to pay for those somehow in a very large state. Of course, but of course, it's like, but it shouldn't be all these funding for all of this shouldn't be all entirety up to us. Those huge companies, they shouldn't get tax incentives. They got honor their workers and their unions much more better. And Newsom's not specifically leading a whole organization or basically a movement like that, but he is at least hearing us out and saying, okay, what can we do to keep improving, keep improving? Don't let yourself go, because if you do, you lose all the confidence in the world to everyone. Again, in this state, you may think this is a democratic utopia. It really isn't. And no party preference voters registrations hugely outnumber basically Democratic voters, uh, and of course the Republican voters. They're quite still declining, but of course not by a large margin altogether. It's kind of just like, oh yeah, it's still like, if you combine them, they're kind of neck and neck with no party preference voters. But basically, you lose yourself in that aspect, and you don't keep yourself honest. You don't let people know that that's what you're doing to help out communities, instead of just serving basically special interests like insurance companies and fracking companies. Then you're gonna lose definitely all the hopes and confidence of the American, or the Californian voter in this case. So basically grading mostly on this pandemic is quite undersight, because there's other things going around while this crisis is going upon. You have your fracking fields. It's like he did call in, Governor Newsom call in a moratorium on basically fracking or any new oil leases. That's the amazing work from Food and Food and Water Action. Got to meet kind of one of their leaders once, and very compelling. Always told them that adored their work, grassroots, trying to make sure that fracking isn't explored too much in California and just even ban it at all, because that's what this man right here, Michael Bucamontes, would have done. Led a better movement in there. It's like I'll mention him more in a moment. But overall, Gavin's been pretty well handling this. How about his cabinet? Of course, who he chose? Ricardo Laura. Okay, he's basically there for show. He's finally someone from the LGBT community is dancing around. I saw him in some conventions. Again, I'm a state delegate for the California Democratic Party, and so I got to see him with his moods and trying to be muchacho and trying to make something compelling with California's insurance commissioner. It's like making that whole slide pretty well. And then he kind of got himself in a bit of trouble with kind of deleting some things, meeting up with insurance companies only. And it's like, again, he wasn't my first choice. He was not my first choice. I think if I remember correctly, it was either Asif Mahood or Ruben Major. No, I think that was my Secretary of State. He was running for Secretary. Ruben was the Secretary of State choice there. But Alex Padilla, at least he's moving more in the vote by mail route to say, yeah, we kind of need to go immediately into that because, we can't have so many people gathered up in one place, in a polling location, and have this disease try to kill us all. You don't want to do that. You want to give at least everyone around, vote by mail, and let them have their choices there. They get a month ahead, get to figure out what their choices are, because I can definitely guarantee you 2020 was the presidential election. There'll probably be a lot of propositions up on that ballot, and they take up a lot of space. And so Javier Becerra, Attorney General, he's been fine. He hasn't really done anything to lead a movement. Oh yeah, let's just sue Trump. Not really taking on Chevron, not really taking on any of those companies that have kind of really hurt us before in the past, and just like at least being a bit more mature than Kamala Harris to an extent about, at least I'm acknowledging that these type of practices against our environment and against our consumers' will is much more important to uphold than basically listening to their money. I would have preferred Dave Jones. Again, not my first choice, but Dave Jones would have been my first. That was my first choice, Dave Jones, not Javier Becerra. Even though, oh my goodness, Latino guy with supporting another Latino guy. How could you not do that? It's like, I looked in his canvas record. He's defending. He's not doing much leading. Although, to be fair, that's attorney generals are kind of more for defending. And Kamala Harris, and with the whole, but those are United States senators. Both of them, they're fine, but Dianne Feinstein should have retired in 2018, and Kamala Harris kind of was wasting her time with the running for the presidency if she wasn't willing to adapt, and she definitely was not willing to adapt more with those criticisms from Tulsi Gabbard. So, really, really good work there. Good job there. Please don't be my vice president. Please don't. I don't want to have another special election here. You're not very good with the voters from the Midwest. So, anyway, yeah, I know I say that while I have these two posters of Kamala here. She's just okay for the moment as a United States Senator. That's good. That's good enough. That's all you need to be at that moment until someone better can take over. Anyway, with that concerning, and of course, my Lieutenant Governor, Elaine Dukakis. All she's doing is just doing one interview basically a week and not really doing much, just basically calling out the actions, just like, oh yeah, just call your congressional representatives, get the CARES Act need, and it's like, that's it. She's not really going out as much or doing kind of her own thing. And at least with Gavin Newsom, when he was our Lieutenant Governor, he did his own thing. He tried to help out colleges. He tried to help out women's violence accountabilities, and he just he at least did things, at least try to, or at least was made trying to make an impact, especially with the Central Valley, about a little bit more research was the fracking facilities and the secondhand water distribution that basically was affecting with oil production nearby those farms. He's doing that. Elena's has done nothing. That was so frustrating one time when I was down there in Long Beach. She was like at the Irish folding, and all she could say is beat Trump, beat Trump, beat Trump. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing. Not progressive. Not trying to say maybe we finally get rid of the death penalty. Finally ban fracking. Maybe make sure that companies that are evicting people out of their homes without giving them a fair shot at court or a fair shot at paying up their rent. That is disgusting. And she cannot do anything. She only got that job because her father was able to get her enough money to easily maintain herself in that race. Yeah, I didn't really like Elena. She just spoke like she didn't really want to be there. Maybe just wanted to hang out with the high prospect stars there and try to make a name for herself and herself only, not to lead a movement or anything. Yeah, she wasn't my first choice either. It was Gail McLiffingham, who's running for something else, I think. I have to check that out again. And it's like she tried to run for the lieutenant governor. She was actually the mayor of Richmond, California. Fought off Chevron for lying to them about trying to frack in their own lands again, even though the city passed an ordinance that they would not allow fracking. Quite a fighter there. I know she's not attractive, but she's very worthwhile of a fighter. I like that. She at least could have kept Gavin Newsom a little bit more focused on that. But unfortunately, with California, you got your whole, oh yeah, they have to have a label. But at least Bernie won here in California. Ha ha. Of course, obviously, with the whole circumstances, with Biden becoming the presumptive nominee. I'll get to another video about that. Oh boy, I will. So, with Gavin Newsom, that's basically his cabinet. That's basically other things that we'll have to align to there. At least he has an economical impact team that actually has Tom Steyer. He was a former candidate for the presidency. Got to meet him, got to shake his hand, say that he got to support down the ballot candidates. He still hasn't done that, by the way. I'm kind of disappointed him on that forefront, but at least he has been focusing on more issues down the ballot, such as reparations for African American communities that had to suffer through those histories, or it had to basically help out with Latino and Latina communities with basically better protections for them with immigration, and definitely when they're working down in the fields, they actually have fair representation, and maybe unions, and basically helping out taking on not only just basically the need to impeach thing with Trump, which you would have thought that once Trump got impeached, and he still is impeached, that label's never going to go away, even if he got evicted or basically didn't get convicted of the crime or get punished for it, he still has that label of being impeached. And he did his general goal there, and now he can focus on basically his main message of, oh, we have to take on Trump on the economy, because he'll always have the attention. He'll always have, because even though what Obama was able, or at least in his leadership, able to bring back the economy very slowly and still relishing off of that, but now, of course, with the virus situation, it's going down, you have to beat him on that. Not single-handedly saying he handled the crisis very wrongly, which he did, but of course, you have to be a little bit more flexing. How are you going to be so much better than him? And that orange doofus. Anyway, at least he's part of the team, economical recovery, try to understand both the rural communities, how they need to rebound from all this crisis, and the urban communities, really making an impact. Everyone else in that team was pretty formidable with the whole, they have the perspective of the business side, women's side, urban community side, Asian American side, and of course African American sides, because we're pretty diverse. And I think I may have seen one that was from the Sikh community. I may be confused with that one, but definitely, if it's much more pretty much more balanced with activism and business relations, then that would really help. Actually, more unions in there as well, with trying to build up their economies again, especially do it safely because we still have this crisis. We still haven't developed a vaccine, and we still haven't developed a cure for that yet. And basically, what is being prompt with from the governor. So it's basically been pretty good. Not fantastic, not great, but obviously, with crises like this, it's never going to be glamorous to get back into it. But definitely something with Gavin Newsom is that he has been, very smart. Listens to people, listens to scientists, listens to all the data that is properly needed to better exceed yours, to better help your people who elected you to lead through these type of crises, and he's making his own legacy as well compelling as basically whatever Jerry Brown could have never really thought to have faced. Obviously he had to face more of a economical crisis there. With Newsom, he has to not only face an economical crisis, but a health crisis, and basically almost a cultural crisis there too. Even though it's only a few people storming the Capitol, even though they all claim blue lives matter, but they're all coughing on the police's faces who don't really have the necessary gear on and trying to get them sick. Yeah, I guess blue lives didn't really matter that anymore because none of you guys are black. All you have guns on the back of your hands. Though I do blame the police too. It's like, they have guns. You guys probably want to say, yeah, you should probably back off with your guns. No, you're going to shoot unarmed citizens out there. Yeah, Xavier, probably should have done something about that. Yeah, I don't like that, by the way. Skin color. Anyway. So, basically, B plus so far in his tenure. He hasn't been perfect. But of course, when you have a large state that has a bunch of businesses loving, because they always complain about, oh, we're being so much taxes, we gotta pay so much taxes, even though it's not so goddamn much. You have a net worth of billions of dollars, and you don't even want to spend at least even 1% of that. You want to have Lyft and Uber always complain, like, oh yeah, we got to pay more so they can have unions. It's like, you're a $billion company. You can easily afford that. And you want to have a proposition up on the ballot to overturn that. It's like, oh yeah, it's going to harm small businesses. It was never about small businesses for you all. Just their profits. But at least Gavin Newsom, at least to that extent, agreed enough to just modify that so it can help out more unions. $32.99. That's for the USC. I did that wrong. I was only supposed to say 32, and everyone else was supposed to say 99. And anyway, I hope somebody gets that, and you are awesome for knowing that. And so far, at least he hasn't endorsed Biden. I don't think he has. And he didn't even endorse Bernie either when Bernie was still actively running in the campaign, even though he won the state of California, or at least the people of California elected Bernie in that primary. Glad to be one of those. But obviously, not really. Again, Gavin's not the man to be in the future. Even though, like, in 2024, should he become the next presidential candidate? It's like, no. Would be a lot more things. I do admire that he did put the death penalty on a moratorium, but again, you can only do so much with that. And of course, it's like he can't be compelling, the sheriff's department, highway patrol. Is like, yeah, it's like he can't really come up with the best argument to tell them that it has to be the right and smart justice and not just hateful and just wanting to see everybody being fried. Like my father likes to tell me, it's like, I want to fry the motherfucker. I don't care if he was innocent or not. It's like, yeah, and then again, he comes from a different age that just, oh yeah, his greatest heroes are basically people that just like have huge abs and burr, 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 burr. Everyone that's either brown or black gets shot all over, and they're white dudes, even though they're Italians, basically just blowing them off. That's his heroes, by the way. That's his influence. Obviously, my influences are much more quite different. So, quite compelling. So, with Gavin Newsom's, yeah, again, be a little bit more better. And we'll keep on criticizing you. At least you signed that one large bill to improve the police departments around California. You had Stephon Clark's brother, Stephen Clark, there at the signing and just basically really helping out more. I guess you could say baby steps, but just keep on improving. Because if you don't, Mr. Newsom, at least I know that this man is always quite available if he can. Hopefully he does. Hi, Michael Brookamatis, if you ever watch this. I really adored the guy. He's quite much more ahead of his time and just really going to be quite influential to see what happens in the next 2 years. I mean, hopefully in the next 2 months, if things are much more better with this whole crisis. And it's just so yeah, really looking forward to what Newsom has at least can really react to more than just lead. So either way, hopefully, he's letting sports teams come back only in California. There are limitations to that though, and hopefully with the help of everything else, advertising, letting people know and preserving their rights, hopefully also women's rights there too, and keep on leading as much as you can. At least it's much more better than what the current president is, and at least it's much more better, and at least my voice means much more, and then hopefully we get ranked choice voting and other facilities and public bankings too. So lots more things to at least I have a better chances of getting those passed, and not just me alone, but with many groups of people, my Placer County Club, and are helping them out. I'm vice president of the Auburn Area Democratic Club. We have influence. We have a chance to keep on making a difference here, and hopefully so. Gavin Newsom, if not like you're ever going to watch this, that is particularly important. So agree or disagree with my grade with Gavin Newsom. Otherwise, like, share, subscribe. This has been Progressive Alternative with Victor Monjares. I'm Victor Monjares. You'll have a great time now. Love that sunny, shiny state. Can't be beat anywhere else in the world.